Welcome to Command Block Survival. By the end of today, I'm hoping to have created a version of Freecam in vanilla Minecraft. So this is all actually inspired by the fact that Minecraft now has a hotkey that lets you swap into survival mode. If I press F3 and Q, you can see it here. F3 plus N, cycle previous game mode, and spectator. So you swap between the two. Now you might be thinking, why spectator mode? Like what does this really add to the game? And the simple answer is, it's sometimes just easier to show things that are really compact or really hard to get at. So like here, I can show you all of the redstone components without having to remove the blocks, which, would turn everything off and then you can't see stuff. So it's actually quite useful in certain scenarios. So we got the hotkey taken care of, F3 and N to go into the mode, but now we need a way to track that the player has actually entered this mode. And we want to do that without running a ton of commands. And so we're going to be looking at advancements. I think we've run into our first challenge here. So this is a different game world, one where I don't have commands enabled. Even simple commands like say don't work. And we get this error that says no permission. So how could we trigger this for a survival player? And then I was like, wait a second. Custom enchantments. I'm thinking, do I even have the item I'm thinking of? There's got to be one somewhere here, right? Somewhere? No? Well, snap. Guess I got to make one. There's no shards in here. Okay. There we go. So the item I'm thinking of course, is a Spyglass. So I've created a dud enchantment. As you can see, it works beautifully. No, so enchants in Minecraft have a two-step process. So we've made the actual enchantment, so we can enchant it. What's a better name than Freecam? I'm not sure yet. But to make it actually enchantable, we need to use the enchantable component. So we'll just give it a value of 3, I guess. Should be good enough. And look at that. Now it pops up in, oh, not for the first slot. Oh, that's interesting. So we can level lock this, so maybe it only works with a level 3 enchant, or maybe it works with a level 2. And we're gonna need to change the recipe. Otherwise, any new Spyglass we create, like this one, is going to have the exact same problem. So we need to update that recipe. And just so it's easy to see, I made it change the name color so that we can tell we're getting the updated version. That's temporary, we're not gonna keep that. But now we know that it's enchantable. So that's nice, but what if the player has a Spyglass already and they don't want to craft a second one? Maybe they don't have the resources. Well, we need a way to transform it while it's in the inventory so that it's actually enchantable. Now there's a couple issues here. This argument accepts a single NBT value. We can't run this command without a specific slot number. The data get would let us get that slot number if it accepted more than one NBT value. So we need a different way to do this. And fortunately, I think I found something. So we can use if items to test for what items we have. But interestingly, there's a very unique location that we can test for an item, the player cursor. So to make sure this works, let's get that command. We're gonna stuff that into a command block like that. Turn this on repeat, turn it on always going. And theoretically, if we pick up an item, it should say something, which it's not. Let's just fix this real quick. Okay, that should have been obvious. So we pick this up, nothing happens. We pick this up. Yes, it does trigger. Okay, another thing I want to test here. If we shift click it in, does it trigger? Ooh, it doesn't. Oh, we need it to trigger. Well, I fiddled around with it a bit, and there's not any good way to test for the shift clicking. But we could rely on the fact that they're like, huh, what's going on here? And then as soon as they pick it up, this triggers the command that will make it enchantable. So let's just go ahead and add in the command here. So that should give it the enchantable value. And I'm kind of just curious how it's going to interact with this enchanting table. Yeah, we pick it up and put it back down and it's enchantable now. And now all of these are enchantable. That's pretty cool. It seemed pretty seamless. We just picked it up and it was like, ta-da. And we're gonna be doing a little bit of limit testing here. So I'm gonna name this thing and I wanna see if it messes up. Because right now I removed the enchantable from it. But if we click this, oh, it keeps the name. Okay, I thought that was gonna break it. I guess not. That is so cool. All right, let's move ahead. Remember how I said we were gonna use an advancement? Well, we're still gonna do that. So let's take a look here. Look at a parrot through a spyglass. So we can copy this and use the same trigger, but test for our enchantment on top of the spyglass. But because I set the enchantment check-in, we have to actually enchant it. Oh, I'm too low level. I have a few bottles of enchanting, but I don't think this is enough. Yeah, especially not with... Okay, wait a second. Time for a quick stop at the Enderman farm. And we'll just enchant this. We shall change that later. But now, when we use this... Wait. Well, what's supposed to happen is something should trigger. Does this work? I already have it. Well, that's strange. Okay, so let me remove it. Oh, it's triggering. It's just not putting us in Spectator. What? This is the command I'm using. Oh. What? What? It just worked. But now we have an issue. How do we return out of Freecam mode? Because if our hotkey doesn't work unless we're opt, that's not going to be a great solution for everybody, right? So I was sitting here thinking like, what button is useless in Spectator? We can use forward, backward, left, right. Shift we might want to use if we want to look down here. We might use space, but if we sprint does work, but you can also just use your mouse wheel and that'll automatically move you faster. So we could potentially get rid of sprint. And the cool thing about that too, oopsie. I can't get out. Oh man, I have to go up really high. Yeah, that's the next problem we're gonna work on. The cool thing about having it as sprint is, let's say a player's moving around, maybe this is their first time, they may very well sprint on accident. And then they'll be like, oh, I know how to do this now. So very intuitive option there. But now it's time to deal with this problem. This is no good. A, because you can get stuck. B, because you can cheat and like get to locations that you couldn't get, like just phasing through walls. And C, because this is just straight up flight. I mean, you can just go wherever you want. It's faster. Yeah, when you sprint, you come out of it, but we need limits. Have I told you guys how much I love bundles? So to balance this out, basically what we need is a way to snap players back to a location. So like if I start from here, I'm flying around. When I re-enter survival, I should go all the way back. That'll prevent phasing through walls. That'll prevent trying to cheat death, which we'll test later probably. But all that means is we need to get the player's location when they go into Spectator. Now, one command solution would be to just create an armor stand. The problem is if we want this data pack, which I'm hoping is linked in the description, to work in multiplayer, how are we going to distinguish whose armor stand is whose? Now we could try putting them on the same team or tracking the UUID somehow, but generally it's going to be a little bit complicated. So I want to use a trick that I learned when making full draw. So we summon an interaction entity here. Let me show it. Now this interaction entity, it tracks player clicks. So like if I left click, we can see there's an attack tag, which it uses my ID, my UUID. If I right click, there's an interaction tag. So there's two separate ones, but here's where it gets crazy. We can track those UUIDs with on. So if I do say hi, it says hi from me and not the interaction entity. We can also use on target. So we can actually track players separately, which is a really cool trick that I used in full draw to track wildfire damage. Here we only need one. And by the way, there is a little bit of a trick to this. Like if you are trying to store the data with commands rather than having the player literally interact with the entity, you'll notice, yeah, it didn't store it. And that's because you have to summon it with both a dud player UUID, so 000 4 zeros, and you need a timestamp of when they supposedly interacted with it. So now you'll notice that this new one we summoned actually has the dud information. And so we can use a command to store the UUID like that. So that's pretty cool. Once we go into Freecam mode immediately, oh, it actually summons too. I might have to deal with that, but it summons the interaction entity. So now on our sprint trigger, we're gonna need to teleport back to it, which I think this will do. Is this the right one? I think it is. Yeah, because that was the one we did first. Okay, you know when I make projects like this, I always want to break stuff because otherwise the players are going to do it for me, right? So if I just hold this down, what happens? Are we in Spectator right now? And are we making like 3 million interaction entities? Oh yeah, we can go up. We're in Spectator. Okay. Yeah, so that... Okay. You know, that laugh sounded like a goose honk to me. This could be considered a problem. You know, I wonder which one it teleports us to if we sprint. Oh, the one up there. Huh. So if I just like barely press it, oh, then I can get one. And then it goes to that one. Oh, wait a second. This is so easy. As long as we get turned into spectator mode instantly. So if we just check that we're not in spectator mode, no matter how long we hold this. Yeah, look at that. There's only one. And there we go. Back to it again. You know, it's really interesting. Technically, all of these could teleport me back, but it's just always the newest one that I get teleported back to, which is kind of making me look smarter than I am. I mean, technically, it literally is running all of this entire chain. Like, it's running as each of them. It's not efficient yet. Now that we have one per, it should be good. And then we can just kill the entity once we teleport back to it. So let's go try it over here. We try and hold this, try and break everything. There's only one interaction. Teleport back to it, and it's gone. All right, it's that easy. Woohoo! All right, I have another idea of how to break it. So let's go to somewhere. Oh, it's in my hotbar. It's important that this isn't spawn chunks. Okay, so we fly away, and all we have to do... Oops, I sprinted and got teleported back. Okay, don't sprint. Now, once those sugarcane fields unload in that glass dome, the entity should be unloaded. So theoretically, jigsaw mess, if I press sprint here, I don't get teleported back. Yep, okay. Yep. And the interaction entity has not been killed. So we need to limit the player so they can't fly far enough away to unload it. Now I feel like 50 blocks of distance would be a pretty good choice. So let's just kind of fly. This feels like too far here. So if we just go maybe a little bit inside this range, and then we can just test the distance. Oh, that is within 50. 42 fails. 43 succeeds. So 50 blocks is a pretty good estimate. I feel like that's how much regular Freecam uses. I don't know. I haven't used the mod. I've only seen like the hermits on Hermitcraft use it. Thing is, even if we do that, there's no good way to tell like how far away 50 blocks actually is. So we'll just be like flying around or like, look at this lake. This lake is pretty amazing. And look at these anvils from, oh, I thought it was going to teleport me by now. How far? Yeah. All of a sudden, you know, we just get teleported and it's like, wait, what? So there's no way to just like sit at the 50 block range. You just instantly get teleported. In fact, it'd be a lot nicer if it just sort of like froze us at the 50 block range and we couldn't move past that somehow. So ideally we need some sort of way to draw a line between our position and the interaction entity, you know, that invisible line, and then we could just teleport along that invisible line. And I think either rotated or facing. Oh no, probably just facing. We'll do eyes. What happens if I do this? Oh. So the line is correct. We need to figure out how to go further like this. Okay, I think I have this figured out. If we do eyes, we kind of keep going up. So we actually want to do feet here. Because if it's facing our eyes, but executing the teleport at our feet, because it doesn't teleport our head, it teleports our feet, then yeah, these got to be the same. So I believe this 5 will always be 5 blocks away from the interaction entity, whatever way we're facing. And if we're up here, yep, we're still on the same line. So basically what we could do is we could have it be 45, or well, let me just input this. And now if we go out of the 45-degree range, we're just going to get popped right back into the range like that. So it effectively stops us at the edge, but doesn't reset our entire progress. Man, 50 blocks is a long ways. Okay, this is totally working though. Man, I'm tempted to put this down to like 30 or 40. It's like, look at how far away we are. You could look at so much stuff that you... Well, let's just try this practically. So let's say I want to look at this farm here. This is like, it's kind of big. So, you know, I go up, I can see it from a really nice angle, and I'm nowhere near 50 blocks yet. If I go up to like the opposite corner, I can go really far up. Hey, wait, why is there... Oh, there's a chicken and an egg. So I can like really look all around. This just feels like a really huge range, right? That's so cool. Just instantly teleporting back. So it's too big for that, but let's look at one of the bigger and probably more convoluted scenarios here. And we also get to test it with walls. So I have a ton of redstone here. You can see it goes like all through the hallways and stuff. So wow, we're able to look so far away. Like this feels like too far. How far away are we? But yeah, this thing is huge. I don't feel like we need to see all of this. Like you can just fly for days. Yeah, it feels too big. Oh, by the way, this is my mob farm. That's what this is. It has a big sweeper arm. Flying machines, they go from one side to the other and push the mobs into the pit. Oh, I just thought of a fun way to break it. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll up on my mouse wheel, which should increase our speed here. I don't know what max spectator speed is. We're probably pretty close to it now. But basically, I wanna see if I can outrun the teleport. I'm trying, and it's not working. Wait, really? I actually thought I could outrun it. Huh. Okay. Yeah, this is way too big. I'm like totally in a different area. Oh, I just had an interesting thought. So you know how we can see like, you know, theoretically where diamond is and stuff? I'm curious, what happens if we give the player blindness? Oh, that's not gonna work. Oh, I was thinking of darkness, wait. Man, if only we could extend the distance, like the radius on that somehow. Because then you can't see below you, but you can see like what's close by. Okay, I've settled on distance 40, but this whole blindness thing, I've been combining it with night vision so that it doesn't flash as much, but like, yeah, I would want to see all of it in the picture, so I'd think the blindness just is not going to cut it. And no amount of changing this amplifier changes the radius you can see. So we can't really control that. Man, I'm already thinking about using this to light up caves that I've missed. It's a bit cheaty. Oh, this is kind of a cool effect. If we're above ground, we can see everything. But if we're inside of blocks, we get the darkness effect. So we have to be a little bit closer. Yeah, I think I'm keeping this. I like this a lot. You don't, usually if you're going underground, you're looking at things closer. Like, you know, it's a bunch of redstone. You can't see everything at once, so it makes sense that you would have a reduced view. Also, I think I need to adjust the checks, but this is pretty cool. Wowza. 81 different items, and a bunch of those items were groups. There's a few surprises though. Blocks that align with the bottom of the block, they don't draw beneath them. So like repeaters and comparators, yeah, you can see all the way through the block. Same with carpets. So, oh wow, I had to mark a lot of stuff, but we should be good now. So you'll notice if I'm sitting in crops here, I don't get the darkness effect. Same with glass, leaves, all the flowers and grass, you know, like, yeah, this is how it should be. Cool. So now we can move on to my favorite part, which is where I try and break things. So, oh, we can't go through the portal. Oh, I figured that would be an easy low-hanging fruit. Okay, that's good that we can't go through the portal. Ah, you can just barely see down there. And you can tell even the game thinks that we're in water because it's putting that water blue tint over stuff. So as soon as we get out of it, it works. There's a very tiny window. Now, given the game even thinks that that's underwater, I don't think there's a whole lot that we can do. So let's just go up here for the next test. Okay, take off Elytra and... Now, when you're falling, you accumulate damage based on either the distance or the speed, but in both cases, we've reduced the distance by a lot. So, oh, that works. I'm not sure what we do about that. We can't really store the motion because then this thing would move. This does bring up another bug though, because theoretically we can interact with somebody else's... Oh. Oh, I forgot you could do that. You can click on entities and look at the direction they're looking. But the thing is, if somebody else, like a player, walks up and happened to know this and they clicked on it, they could overwrite our information. So we actually need to make this hitbox disappear. Now it's actually pretty easy to do that. We just add in, at the end of our summon interaction, we just put 0.0 for the width and the height. And now... there is an interaction entity there, but you can't see it. And you can't interact with it. Ta-da! Now this one might be more cool than a bug. But if we are fighting something, we can dodge. Oops. Wait for them to go away, come back. Okay, that didn't actually work very well. So you can't really cheese fights. I mean, I wasn't doing a great job dodging the attacks, but it's not that easy to do. You can totally like just run away from mob aggro. Like I can just be like, oh, I just want to be safe right now. Which is kind of a problem that, once again, I'm not sure if we can really do anything about that. Okay, a solution is percolating in my mind, but for this next test, we're going to need a few spyglasses. Oh, I actually like that you can't just use the first one. You need like at least the second one. So for this next test, we're going to see if we can cheat death with this in lava. All right, and... okay, so we're rescued out of it. Can we think of any clever way? Now, if we had like, if this was a multiplayer server, we could get our friend to come and help us and that would work. But I think, yeah, we just immediately, oh, I'm all the way back here. So it is a little cheap that you can just sort of be like, well, I don't want to die. Let me think about this. Oh, hi, Gast. That's a little bit cheap, but the idea that's percolating might actually solve that and the other problem. Haha, sniped. Okay, I did just see something. We can maybe cancel burn damage with this. Ooh, we can. But I think we can still solve that problem and the fall damage problem at the same time. You see, there's some NBT that we can take advantage. Yes, it is on the player. I couldn't remember. Okay, we have on ground and hurt time, or also fire. Oh, even better. There's flags. Is on fire, is on ground. That's a cheaper check than looking through NBT. So now we should be unable to go into Freecam. If what? Well, that didn't work. Okay, I'm a goof. You know how a lot of times you'll have like a lot of different things and then there's like all this different stuff that's in like different brackets? Well, I just put it in the wrong bracket. Anyway, now if we're on fire, we shouldn't... yeah. And if we're falling... oh, what? We shouldn't have been able to go into Freecam. This is what it says in the file. Notice anything wrong with this? I didn't. Is on ground needs to be true. Oh boy. I thought both of them needed to be false, but only the fire one needs to be false. So now, let's just make sure we're still on the correct one. we shouldn't be able to trigger this. And that's correct. And one more check here. If we just hold down, nope, we take the fall damage and it doesn't trigger until we've actually landed. And last test, kind of related to the fire. We need poison. There we go. Ooh, yeah, the poison can tick away while we're in Spectator. I wonder if we could just do a check for any effect that we don't want the player to remove. Also, I didn't know poisonous potatoes only gave you a chance of getting poisoned. I thought that was like guaranteed. Okay, so I added an inverted check for poison. We're just gonna test poison right now. I'll add more if it works. Okay. Yeah, it does. Oh, sweet. And then as soon as it's done, oh yeah. So that way the player can't avoid various bad effects, you know, slowness from an arrow or even freezing damage. Haha, sweet. Fun fact, ticks frozen is how it tracks freezing damage. It's not an effect, but because it doesn't exist, we can't test for it being 0, for example. So I have to test in the actual function, and if it finds it, I just do a return fail. So one thing's outside of the advancement, but that's not bad. So there we have it, a cool enchantment that we still need to name that doesn't allow us to cheat death, but does allow us to look around the world in really fun ways. It hides far away things from us, so we just see what's in front of our face and can't accidentally cheat very easily. And so for our name, I think an appropriately simple one to go with a lot of the other names would just be Survey. We have a Survey Spyglass. Lets us look all around. I mean, that's kind of what this is, right? Surveying. So that's pretty cool. Datapack download in the description for vanilla Freecam. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope it gave you a certain amount of insight into my process when I'm doing these things. And I hope it was fun too. So that is it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later, later.